What you miss without a CFO. Hi, I'm Josh Horn with Horn Valuation. I help business owners and attorneys with business valuation and building business value. Most small businesses do not have a CFO, and I think this is a shame. Now, let's first define what a CFO is. I think the best definition I've ever heard of is, whereas accountants, where you're very familiar with those and typically up to the controller role, they are telling you what happened. They're telling you about history in your financial statements. The CFO is going to help you chart a course for the future to get you where you want to go. So that's the big difference between accountants and CFOs, largely in companies. And you may push back and say, well, I can't afford this. And the truth is that after working with hundreds of companies over the years and looking at many financial statements, what I find is that many of them, because they're not dealing with these things that a CFO can provide, they're actually losing 5 figures, 6 figures, sometimes 7 figures of value because they're not doing the things that need to be done that a CFO would typically do. So there's this Grand Canyon-like gap between where they are and where they need to be, and they're not going to be able to close it unless they put somebody on these things that need to get fixed. So let's start with these 3 primary things that I think you need to take a look at and consider hiring a CFO, at least on a fractional basis, to solve some of these issues. The first issue is budgeting, and this gets a lot of groans out there usually. Budgeting, oh, budget, I hate the budget. We've never had a budget. And in this case, you're in good company because many of the businesses that I value don't have budgets. So immediately, if you have one, it puts you ahead of probably 95% of your competitors in your industry if you just have one. It's not enough to have one, though. It's important to have one that actually works. Now, having a good budget will force you to think about things like, where are my sales going to come from? Is this overhead expense that I'm spending, is it delivering me a return on investment? It's going to force you to drill down into the numbers and figure out your strategy. So think of it as your strategy in numbers, and it'll be a lot more fun to talk about budgeting, because without a strategy in numbers, it's just a dream. It's not really a strategy. So with this will come one of my favorite topics, which is gross margin management. So if you have inventory or if you sell things and or services related to those things, do you know what your gross margins on those sales are? Sales less those direct costs. What I find is that many businesses don't actually really spend a lot of time analyzing this, which gets me to the second topic, which is inventory and customer management. Are you doing this? Again, a gaping hole where I see lots of businesses lose many dollars because they never really take a look at the strategic issues of inventory and customer management. Does holding this item make sense anymore? Does having this customer and continuing to work with them make sense anymore? Is it part of our broader strategy? Or are we, alternatively, which I see way too often, are we essentially letting our customers run our business? Okay, they want that, we get that. They want that, we do that. That's not running a business. That's them running you. So inventory and customer management is a big part that will flow out of the budgeting process. Now, real quick on the budget, 2 of the biggest mistakes I see made are developing a static budget, one that never changes, which is a big mistake. Hey, the business changes. Hey, 3 months in, hey, we hired people or we picked up a new customer or something. You have to change the budget. You can't use the old one. The second thing I see is a budget that is not reconciled to cash. Revenues less expenses do not equal cash. You have debt service payments, capital expenditures, working capital requirements. Those have to all be built into your budgetary model. So without that, And let me give you a great example. A company can be budgeted to make $100,000 of profit, revenues less expenses. Well, if the debt service payments on their debt are $100,000, do they gain any cash? No. So that has to be baked in. Otherwise, you can fall backwards in your actual ability to generate cash. Finally, third item, risk management. Now, this is a broad topic. Typically, this falls on the shoulders of the CFO. He or she would think about things that are supposed to protect you as the owner, the CEO, or the manager of the business. What about IT attacks? Attacks on your computer system? Things like ransomware or other thefts of property. What about fraud? What about fires? Insurance is related to that. What about accidents with employees? All these kinds of things fall under the area of risk management. Thinking about things that maybe haven't happened but could happen and how to plan for it. These are some of the things that you will miss if you do not have a CFO. Please get in touch with me if you want to talk about this. This is Josh Horn of Horn Valuation. Have a great day. Bye.